Hello, beautiful people. So, today I wanted to talk about how in our society we consider things cringe very easily, and it kind of is getting a bit irritating because I feel like people cannot really be themselves as much. It's either you maybe drink a certain type of way, or you eat a certain type of way, you speak a certain type of way, you act a certain type of way, and it is automatically labeled as cringe. When in fact, I feel like not everything is cringe, but sometimes people are just being themselves or expressing themselves a little too much. And I think that's the problem that people have. People don't like when others express themselves a little too much or they're authentically themselves, because I feel like cringe is a new word for being authentically yourself. Because how can it be that everything you see is labeled as cringe? How can it be that just the way someone acts or the way that they express themselves is considered as cringe? I don't think that's possible, and I feel like this is really something of our time right now, because when I was younger, I did things that were super cringe, considered super weird and odd. And I feel like people that are quote unquote cringe right now are just being authentically themselves, and they're living their inner child freely. And they're to be cringe is to be free, in my opinion. And I think I urge more people to be a bit more cringe, be a bit more themselves, because I think that's really what life is about, to be yourself. And people act as if life is a movie. And you know the saying of life is a movie, life is not a movie, because a movie has a script, and a script that has a beginning and an end, and the actors know how the movie starts and how it ends. But you don't know how your life is going to start or how it's going to end. You simply just don't know. I wish we did know, but we just don't know. So if knowing that fact, that your life is not a movie, why not be authentically yourself? Why not be a bit more cringe, quote unquote cringe? Why not just be yourself, And I just have noticed that people will consider things embarrassing very quickly, or cringe, or you lost aura. Like, what is that even about? You're running to take your tram or your train, and then all of a sudden it goes by you and you lost aura. How about you just missed the train or the tram? How about you just missed the bus? How about you didn't lose any aura? How about this is just life and this is just a reality? And I know it might just not all be super serious and it's just kind of, joking around. But as I've mentioned, I've noticed that people just consider things embarrassing too quickly. And I think we should draw a line. We can just be. Not everything has to be picture perfect. Not everything has to be movie like, where you have a script and you follow the script. You can just be, and be quote unquote cringe, be a little different, be a little weird, act a little funny. Because also, think about it, the people who are going viral right now are doing stuff that are cringe. People who we know and consider to be a bit funny, a bit outrageous, they're doing the cringe stuff, trust me. And people are just accepting it, and they accept those people as being cringe. I've seen a ton of people going viral right now because they are quote unquote cringe, or they are themselves. And I think that's also note to self, that these people that are quote unquote being cringe, people are accepting them for who they are. So if you do something that's quote unquote cringe, don't beat up yourself for it. You're just being yourself. You can be, you can live and be a bit more free. Feel Don't feel like you're in this cell where you cannot be yourself authentically, because then also, if you cannot be yourself with the people who you're around, are you with the right people then? And obviously, when you have an interview, or you have somewhere important to go, you obviously need to act a certain type of way. That's normal. That's just how our society is constructed. But if you are around your quote unquote friends or loved ones, and you have to act or have a performance, you should start questioning yourself if you're with the right people. Because if they think every single action you take is cringe, maybe rethink if those people are your friends. But that's just a little something that I wanted to say. Be a little bit more cringe. It's okay. You'll be fine. You'll survive. And be yourself a little bit more, because you are important and you are needed. That's all I wanted to say for today. Stay beautiful.